A strike away for Jeff Hoffman and the Toronto Blue Jays. The payoff. He struck him out! And for the first time in 32 years, the Blue Jays have won the pennant!
From MLB.com, this is the Morning Lineup Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Castrovins. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, and the World Series stage is set. The Toronto Blue Jays are Fall Classic bound for the first time since 1993, and they won't have to go far. They will be hosting Game 1 at Rogers Center against the Los Angeles Dodgers on Friday after coming out on top of an epically entertaining ALCS that had its grand finale last night. We're going to bring you all the highlights and then take our first look at the 2025 World Series. Let's make like George Springer and knock this one out of the park. The ALCS between the Mariners and Blue Jays was the first LCS in either league to feature two teams with pennant droughts of at least 30 years. 32 to be exact for the Jays, and the entire history of the Mariners franchise, which was launched in 1977. So of course this captivating clash went to a seventh game with a World Series date with the defending champion Dodgers on the line. And Monday's winner-take-all in Toronto absolutely lived up to the hype. A tight and tense thriller that had people on the edge of their seats, or out of their seats, from Rogers Center to the Pacific Northwest, and pretty much all points in between. Let's take you through it, shall we? Julio Rodriguez led off the game with a double off Jays starter Shane Bieber, and Josh Naylor singled to bring him home. Then, when Jorge Polanco grounded into a force out at second, Naylor leapt and spun in the air and tried to break up the double play with his head.
Here's a bouncing ball left side, cut off by Clement. The third baseman hits the runner.
Yes, in Game 7, it's all hands and apparently all heads on deck. But umps convened and rightly decided that Naylor had interfered with the throw, so both runners were out and the inning was over. The Blue Jays answered right back in their first trip to the plate when Dalton Varsho singled off George Kirby to score George Springer from second and make it 1-1. But as if the Julio leadoff double in the first weren't enough of a good start, check out what Julio Rodriguez did to lead off the third.
And now a 2-2 pitch. And a high drive to left center field. Lucas on the run. That ball's gone. Julio Rodriguez, in the biggest game of his life, is delivering.
2-1 Mariners behind their center field superstar. And that's not Seattle's only superstar. At the start of the fifth, after the Jays had gone to their bullpen by bringing in Louis Varland, it was big dumper time.
Varland fires. Cal hits a high fly ball, deep right field. It is gone! Raleigh joins Rodriguez, delivering in Game 7.
That was 65 home runs since opening day for Cal Raleigh, who, last I checked, is still a catcher. An absolutely bananas year, and the Mariners' two best players had clearly brought their A games to the biggest game of their lives, with Seattle taking a 3-1 lead. That remained the score going into the bottom of the seventh, by which point Brian Wu, who was the Mariners' best starter this season but has been pitching out of the pen in his return from a pectoral injury, had replaced Kirby and got into some trouble with 2 on and none out. And Andres Jimenez's sacrifice bunt had both runners in scoring position, and Eduard Bizardo was brought in to face George Springer with the game on the line. Springer, you might remember, was the MVP of the 2017 World Series, and he proved yet again that he's the real October deal, with the biggest swing in Toronto since Joe Carter.
Swinging a fly ball, left field and deep, Arozarena turns, gone! A Springer dinger, 4-3 Blue Jays in the bottom of the seventh.
Touch 'em all, George. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life. Or maybe you will in the next round, who knows? Springer's go-ahead blast was the 23rd home run of his postseason career, tying him with Kyle Schwarber for third most all-time, behind only Manny Ramirez with 29 and Jose Altuve with 27. With the 4-3 lead in hand, the Blue Jays got 3 huge outs from Chris Bassett in the 8th. They didn't cash in on an opportunity to get a big insurance run off Seattle closer Andres Munoz in the bottom of the inning, and so it was Jeff Hoffman on the hill, to protect that slim 4-3 lead in the ninth. Leo Rivas and Dominic Canzone went down swinging in succession to start the inning, and then Hoffman had one out to go against Julio, who worked the count full before the payoff pitch.
He got it! The Blue Jays win the pennant! The Blue Jays win the pennant! They're going to the World Series! It's so good, we must be dreaming!
1 year after finishing dead last in the AL East, the Blue Jays are the American League champions with the 4-3 win in a truly great Game 7. Here's what Springer, who was brought to Toronto prior to 2021 to make a moment just like this, and played through pain after getting plunked in the knee in Game 5, had to say amid the celebration.
I'm so happy for our team, our fans, our city, our country. I'm so happy right now. Exactly why we love playing here. Unbelievably electric. We love every single one of these fans. This is such an unbelievable moment.
And here's what Hoffman had to say about closing out a pennant Canadians had been waiting a generation for.
Ending up back here after being drafted by Toronto and then we traded away, and just how crazy it is that this is what full circle looks like, and I couldn't be happier.
Unsurprisingly, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who had 3 homers and 3 doubles in this round alone, was named the ALCS MVP.
This means a lot, we're working so hard for this, and thank the fans for bringing the energy. We need you guys. We need the energy every day. Thank you for bringing the energy. We do this for you guys. Yes, but the job is not finished. We got 4 more to go.
On the other side, there was the pain of a Mariners team that came up just short in its bid to change the course of franchise history. Manager Dan Wilson was asked about that situation in the 7th, in which the M's opted to pitch to Springer with first base open.
You make your decisions, and sometimes you have to live and die with it, and I think again, the way Zardo has thrown the ball all season long, we were comfortable with where we were, and it just again didn't go our way.
That Game 7 is one we'll be digesting for quite a while, but coming up, we're going to take our first look at what lies ahead in the World Series between the Blue Jays and Dodgers. That's after the break. You might remember that crazy day in the winter prior to the 2024 season when everyone on social media was convinced that a private jet traveling from Southern California to Toronto was carrying Shohei Ohtani to the Blue Jays. Turns out, the plane so many people were tracking was not occupied by the free agent Ohtani, but rather Robert Herjavec, a businessman known for his role on the reality show Shark Tank. Ohtani, as you might have heard, wound up signing with the Dodgers instead. Well, now Ohtani really is headed for Toronto for the World Series that begins Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. The Blue Jays didn't land the guy who went on to hit 3 home runs while pitching 6 shutout innings in the 2025 NLCS clincher, but now they'll have a chance to beat him and the rest of the defending champs. While the Blue Jays haven't been to the World Series since going back-to-back in 1992 and 93, the Dodgers are trying to become the first team to go back-to-back since the 1998 to 2000 Yankees. That makes this a fascinating study in contrast between a Dodgers team that was World Series or bust from the beginning of this season and a Blue Jays team that rose from the ashes of last place last year to finally advance in October. These are 2 ample offenses. In the regular season, the Dodgers were second in runs per game in MLB with 5.09, while the Blue Jays were 4th with 4.93. They both have power and plate discipline, as the Dodgers had the 11th lowest strikeout rate in MLB, and the Blue Jays had the lowest. What remains to be seen is if the Dodgers can continue their incredible run of starting pitching. Dodgers starters are 7-1 with a 1.40 ERA and 83 strikeouts this postseason, on pace to be the lowest ERA in a single postseason all time. While Toronto's starting staff was terrific in the ALCS, it's going to have to step up all the more if the Dodgers keep doing that. As for the bullpens, the Dodgers will be the more rested unit, the one that is inordinately oriented around a rookie in Roki Sasaki, while the Blue Jays have their relief ace Hoffman pitching at his best headed into the final round. To the extent that this matters, and hint, it doesn't, the Dodgers have won 10 of their last 14 against Toronto, dating back to 2016, including taking 2 of 3 from the Jays at Chavez Ravine in early August. But now it's a new series, a World Series, and it starts Friday night. We can't wait. That's all for today's morning lineup. Matt Monaghan will be back tomorrow for a deeper look at this World Series matchup. Until next time, thanks for listening. Please be sure to leave us a rating and review. Share this episode with the baseball lovers in your life, and have a great day, everyone.